soccer-based sports talk covering local, nation, and global soccer. Broadcasting from the Philly Cam studio in Center City, Philadelphia on 106.5 FM.
Welcome to another edition of the World Sports Show. Charlie Flowe here on February 13th. A cool, crisp. What am I talking about? Cool and crisp. It's cold out here in Philadelphia.
Hey, right about that.
I ain't gonna lie to y'all out there. I know some people out there listening in all the different time zones and different parts of the world. Not many places that are colder than Philadelphia right now.
There is, but don't even want to think about it. It's cold out there, buddy.
So, we've got a lot to cover this night on the show. A lot of things popping. We're going to lead into some of the big stories in soccer. A lot of women players making headlines. One of the biggest headlines in soccer right now is that there's a Manchester City, contract on the table. We've heard for Carly Lloyd, so she may be leaving the Houston Dash. That's big news. We'll talk a little bit more about that and some other player moves. We look at Michelle Betos, goalkeeper for Portland Thorns, is going to be heading off to Norway, and then you have other players that are returning to the NWSL, like Tiffany Weimer, just signed with the Breakers since our last show, and we'll talk about my trip to Turks and Caicos with the Turks and Caicos Football Association down there in beautiful Turks and Caicos, about their college ID clinic I just came from a few hours ago, I feel like. We'll talk about U.S. Soccer Federation. They hired a person from a Premier League to going to kind of be their science guru, James Bernice. It's high-performance director. It's a new created position within U.S. Soccer. We'll break down that because everybody's always trying to crack the science of sport. U.S. retired national team player Eric Winalda announced that he is the new head coach for the amateur side, L.A. Wolves FC. They'll be one of the teams partaking in the U.S. Open Cup this summer, so that's one of the teams that starts super early. U.S. Soccer announced today that they'll be honoring Christine Rampone at their March 4th match in New Jersey, good old North Jersey Red Bull Arena. She was a longtime captain, second most capped player in the world, and she'll be recognized during the She Believes Cup match at Red Bull Arena on March the 4th, like I said. Philadelphia Union announced they were training in Philadelphia day before they head back down to Florida to resume their Florida trip. Starting tomorrow, UEFA Champions League will kick off their group round of 16. So a lot of other big news, a lot of other good things to get into, but also a big thing today that is always big for anybody listening to radio. It is World Radio Day. So it's pretty neat and interesting that on February 13th, United Nations Radio established World Radio Day in 1946. So it's been around for a while, John.
That's right. World Radio Day. Hashtag World Radio Day.
Dude, it's popping, man. It's been trending all day, and we happen to be broadcasting on a Monday that it's the World Radio Day of, so definitely exciting for us and very meaningful for a lot of people out there trying to get into radio. And trust me, the trek that John and I took to be talking to you right now was a long journey that's been going on for about 8 years now.
That's right. Hopefully different people from around different countries, around the world, around the nation. The power of radio and internet now.
Yeah, and that's the great part about broadcasting here on Philly Cam on WPPM LP Philadelphia, that we're a public access radio station, that it is not a pay-to-play like a lot of radio stations out there, that this is built for the public, powered by the public, for the public.
That's right.
So big shout-out to our manager, Vanessa, for helping us out and getting us where we are today.
Getting us squared away, getting the microphones on.
Yeah. So, and a lot of this radio station was built through a lot of people putting their own time and effort into, and grants, and people donating money. So that's what we love about that, just the opportunity that people have. So it's a lot of little free programs out there if you get on the internet. So those that are trying to get into radio, we advise you to hop on the old internet. There's a lot of different production software, editing software right now there's some really good deals on the internet right now for some deals for those who want to crack into radio. I mean, the first way to start is like John, just start with a basic podcast.
Basic podcast.
Yeah, if you got internet and a laptop, you're good.
Get the laptop, get the mixer, get the microphones, make sure the levels are balanced.
Yep.
Go for it.
We remember those old days.
That's right. It's practice. You got to practice and get your content and roll from there.
Yeah, so a lot of soccer news and a lot of news out of Turks and Caicos. I just spent some time down there. I was down there from Wednesday until Sunday. Got in very late last night. Didn't do much sleeping because tried to maximize my time there, spending time coaching the young kids, doing the clinics, exploring the island, making friends with all the coaches. So it's one of those things where you're not there to sleep. You're there to work and enjoy the island life.
That's right.
So, but yeah, we got quite a few recordings we're going to play tonight too. So we'll cue those up a little later tonight. I think some of the big news in Philadelphia is, they came back to Philadelphia for the weekend and they'll be going back down for their preseason tour. So there's some buzz in town, and they've been signing some players. I know I went to one of their practices and liked what I saw. So, I mean, there's definitely that international influence and bringing in some veterans. So, I mean, we're hoping what Jim Curtin and Ernie Stewart are doing down there in Chester is going to pay dividends, because getting into the playoff last year, I think, wouldn't say satisfied, but it kind of was, all right, you got into the playoffs. All right, we'll let you get back in the playoffs. But now this is the year that I think that anything not winning in the first round of playoffs, it's going to be hot seat for a lot of coaching staff, I think.
Oh, absolutely, especially in a competitive league like the MLS. A lot of teams are getting big players, even teams like Atlanta. I mean, you look at their roster on paper, and it's getting recognition. But I think that, what they're trying to do this year with the Union, trying to get some depth in many positions, whereas to last year, yes, they made the playoffs, but coming first half of the season, they were teetering around first, second place in the East,
and they limped in the playoffs, literally.
Injuries, just lack of depth, and I think they addressed it this year and brought in some veteran players, brought in some international players, and we're going to see after these first couple matches who makes the cut. You got a couple draft picks that just signed, so the future's bright. I mean, it's going up, so hopefully, but the talent. Also, they got to keep up with the talent around the league. Everybody's signing players, and more internationals are coming over. So
I think that another big thing is putting your eyes on that. Fans don't want to hear excuse. I mean, the Union are now doing the right thing. They have their own practice facility. They've got their own facilities there where they, when they used to have stuff at their original stadium, it just was really tight fit, and having to go over to different health plexes and in the Philadelphia area to get their training was, you basically have 4 different places you're going. I mean, I understand they're practicing in the bubble at Penn today, which is totally acceptable, that
sure.
It's just, you have to be in those kind of conditions right now because it's still the preseason. We're still a few weeks away from their home opener on March 11th, and then their road opener will be on March 5th up in Vancouver. So I think it's good that they have the facilities on house, and we've said that for years here on the show, that if you're going to sign world-class players and try to get these European players to come over here or get these South American players to travel up north, you have to have on-site facilities. It's a make-or-break deal. I mean, I was just in Turks and Caicos, and they have world-class facilities there. And it's sad to say that there are some MLS teams that don't even have as nice facilities they do. And it's how do you compete with other MLS teams like your New Yorks and your LAs when you're having to go to a strip mall basically to go to practice, or to go to a park and have to kick some kids off a park to go to practice.
That's funny.
I mean, seriously, it's like, hopping in Econoline vans to go practice. I'm like, always goes back to that Robert Perez that kind of blew off Philadelphia back in the day. So
I love it, bringing them up
I'll bring up the Untouchables and Arsenal anytime I get a chance. Not that I was a fan of them, but I was definitely a fan of what happened and watching that team unfold a few years back. So
and just real quick shout out to everybody who threw emails in the mailbag this week, mailbag at worldsportshow.com. We take feedback, especially with the Union fans, getting Union fans from over the country, ex-Philadelphians, soccer players who follow the league, asking questions, giving insight. We're getting unsourced reports from people who were playing, putting 2 and 2 together, but it's just interesting to read them. I mean, we got a couple questions. We try and fit them. Believe me, if we could do a show just with mailbag with Union questions. So it's just good that a lot of Union fans are actually checking us out and want to hear what we have to say. But, we write them back and we answer what, we communicate. So it's pretty transparent. So, and also they're down at the games and saying, hey, you guys we're at every game.
Yeah.
a lot of the people who email do know us because, we are down at the games and we do know. But, I mean, they just want to hear more and see more. So it's a good resource. So bounce it off of us, and we can, as the season goes on, we can get much more into Union detail.
And if you are looking to hang out with John and I in the pregame, you know where to find us. I mean, John and I kind of stumbled upon, actually credit you, is the best pre-tail game for Union games is hanging out with our Colombian friends that they pull a full spread on, man.
Yep.
I mean, this chili, the soup.
So, real quick off to the side, 124 Union Latinos are going to be an official recognized supporter section.
Dude, that's breaking. That's awesome, dude. I mean, there's some great fans there, and we hang out with them because it's a great tailgate where they really bring a family atmosphere.
I mean, regardless of weather, whatever results, whatever.
They're the ones that bring the RV and
the food. The food brings it.
Yeah, and it's just a great setup there. They're eating and drinking before, eating and drinking after the match. You and I sometimes, if you look at a football match, proper football match is probably about 2 hours long. We show up 3 hours early. Me and you catch ourselves a good 2 hours after the match, just kicking the ball in the parking lot and just eating and just hanging out, just making friends and
that's right,
bridging a lot of gaps there. So it's definitely good that they can finally get recognized for all their hard work.
Yeah, and it's good too. A lot of people want to see, what we do as far as media. We cover plenty of games, and some other times we cover more than just soccer. So we're out there pretty good, and people, email us, hey, where can we check it out? But listen to the show. We're out there. We do send back emails. So.
Yeah, we'll let you know where we'll be on March the 11th. That's coming up real soon.
Yep.
So, and there'll be some events there before then that we'll talk about a little later on the second half of the show. So, but yeah, so one thing that popped up today that really kind of stuck out is U.S. Soccer creating this position, high performance director. And, a lot of people are looking into this, like nutrition, speed and things that I think that you and I kind of took for granted when we were younger. I didn't exactly have the best diet during my playing days, and a lot of it is you're in adolescence, you can burn a lot of this stuff off. But now they're starting to realize a lot of these different things and monitoring players of what they're consuming.
So you mean to tell me that the orange slices and the red Gatorade at halftime wasn't a great idea?
Sometimes old school's the best school, man. I'm telling you, man. Bananas, man. Ate a lot of bananas and oranges as a kid, man.
Course.
But, I mean, there's different things and different sciences about, like, that one thing that always bothered me is trying to keep my core temperature down, but then you're guzzling so many things of Gatorade, and they say it quenches your thirst, but it makes you thirsty for more because then you have that sugar and things like that there's different ones about just getting the basic glucose in your body, trying to actually lower your core, but not carrying that extra baggage because, everybody say you sweat off all that, but when you're adding tons and tons of drink to cool you off, that's adding weight to your body, and you're making you have that bloated feel.
I think you're in the wrong profession. Radio, you need to go into whatever science.
Nah, maybe.
Science guy.
I'm good at BS.
Be the science guy.
Science guy. Hey, man, why not, man? This day and age, you don't need much qualifications to be anything. I'm the official performance director. Some fancy title, man. You can be the assistant performance director.
Yeah.
So,
but
I think the other neat news was Eric Winaldo going to be coaching LA Wolves FC, and I'm kind of curious about some of the young bucks on this team if they know who he is. Because I remember him playing for the old Clash back in the day in the inaugural season of the MLS back in '96.
I think I still might have his action figure starting lineup laying around.
Oh, dude, I remember those.
Yes.
He had the Jorge Campos and Valderrama. It came with a little bit of extra big boxer's hair.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you're taking it back. So I think it's neat seeing guys like that be involved, and he's definitely a player that's been involved in media before as well. So, those kind of players, it's always good to see them, put on the old coaching whistle. I don't know if I was going to say the coaching boots, but you don't really wear boots as a coach.
I'll tell you, well, he might, but I'll tell you one thing. He's if you're sitting anywhere in the first 20 rows, you're going to hear him.
Yeah, dude.
He's very vocal, very, I see it good for the fans, very transparent. You're going to know exactly what's going on because, that's his thing with being a commentator, a media guy. He likes transparency. He wants to give what's going on, so he's got to give that favor back to his club, which, hey, put that club on the map. Now we know who the LA Wolves are.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, so
and especially if they make a splash in the Open Cup or, if they win their league, they're going to get headlines.
Yeah, wonder how he would do if he strapped the old boots on. He could probably still knock a few in.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, guys like that are just ballers, man.
Yeah.
So, well, we're going to play a clip in a few seconds. Just wanted to read off some of the coaches that were here or down there where I was in Turks and Caicos with the Turks and Caicos Islands Football Association. They had invited several coaches down for their ID clinic. There was Oliver Twelvetrees. He's out of Swansea. He coaches at Eastern Florida State College. Enda Crehan from Patrick Henry Community College in Virginia. Kathryn Saunders of Texas Southern University coaches the women's team there. Munga Eketebi, I probably mispronounced it. Sorry, Munga, of Broward College Seahawks. Bart Sassnet of Daytona State College. So a lot of JUCOs, and I think the neat part is every college but Texas Southern University are all two-year colleges. So it's what I loved about this ID clinic. It's going to be like a feeder. If they pick some of these boys up that I really had my eye on this past couple weeks, and they play well for them, it's kind of like the minor league system of whatever baseball idea, that they get a couple years in there, and you these coaches will vouch for them, if they're good players. So I definitely have my eye on some really, really good players, and really hope one of these players gets into one of these junior colleges or one of the junior colleges that I work with here at Philadelphia University. So I believe you have an interview of all the coaches doing their intro and talking about just being down there in Turks and Caicos.
All right, here we go.
Oliver Twelvetrees, head coach at Eastern Florida State College in Melbourne, Florida. Really appreciate the hospitality that Daz has given us to bring us down and give us the opportunity to come and look at the best players that Turks and Caicos has to offer. We're looking for players down here on the island that have that passion for the game and want to have that game be a big part of their lives moving forward, and also get an education and see if they can move forward in the game and one day perhaps be a potential professional footballer and get a degree and then come back and maybe contribute to the island of this beautiful island, Turks and Caicos.
Enda Crehan, head coach, Patrick Henry Community College in Martinsville, Virginia. Very excited to be here in the Turks and Caicos. The hospitality that Daz and the staff of the Football Association have shown has been really, really great so far. Great to be here and just unearth another contact for players in the Caribbean, and we feel like this is a great spot to be here, and we're looking forward to working with the players and looking at the players and their technical abilities, and just they're willing to work as well and want to come to the States and obviously get an education and play, and then further their national team career due to that. So very happy to be here. Looking forward to watching the players today.
Munga Eketebi, Broward College in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. It's always a pleasure to be in the islands, and I'm really appreciate the opportunity to look at the players down here. Usually most of our schools have players from Jamaica, Haiti, TNT, so this is an opportunity to open our horizons as coaches and hopefully to discover the new germs of the Caribbean.
Hello, I'm Bart Sassnet, head soccer coach at Daytona State College, located in Daytona Beach, Florida. Happy to be here. We're down here recruiting and looking for players. We recruit the Caribbean quite heavily. This is our first time in Turks and Caicos, so we're excited to be here and looking forward to the opportunity to work with these young men all week.
Charlie Flowe, I'm an assistant coach at Philadelphia University. We are located in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Down here, great host here with the TCFA, Daz, Oliver Smith, great. Sonia, the president, great to host us. Connected with this association back in December when I was on vacation, and they put on a little game with the youth players and just saw some amazing talent, communication, great technical skill. Definitely looking for that gem here, whether it's 1, 2, 3 players that get into a junior college, then we get them to transfer over to Philadelphia University, just looking for a great opportunity just to see. And I believe that the Caribbean's a really, really great resource for players. At our university, we have about 4 players with Caribbean blood, and they're some of our hardest working players. So figure this is another resource that needs to be looked into.
I'm Kathryn Saunders, head coach at Texas Southern University in Houston, Texas. Like everybody said, we're just really grateful for the opportunity to come down and spend the next couple of days with the girls and the boys here, just exploring and opening doors. It's all about where soccer can take you, and so this is just another opportunity for us to come down and find those right players that can come up and open doors for themselves as well as their family in terms of education, but also using the sport that they love as the vehicle. And so for us, it's really just about the technical and the tactical ability and the passion for the game. We just need a well-rounded player to come in and be that next player.
And back at World Sports Show, Charlie Flowe, John DiCriscio here, World Sports Show on WPPM LP, Philadelphia. That was a wrap of all the coaches that had traveled down to Turks and Caicos this past week for the College ID Clinic the Turks and Caicos Football Association had down there. So had to get used to it. It's a good to go to a place that calls it football, first off.
Yeah, it sounds like there was a good, I don't want to say mix, but a good collection of coaches.
Yeah.
You know, it seems like everybody's under like the same good spirit, looking for players, which is good. You know, find gems. You know, you got to search. You can't just, it's not going to fall right in front of you.
I think that the neat part is that, you know, you look at a lot of coaches that there is competition, but at the end of the day, if one of these players lands with any of our schools, we'll all be happy and satisfied, and it's just for the greater good of these young players, young men and young women, to help better their life. You know, give them that opportunity to get off the island, get some type of a degree, get some type of education, and not only that, but learning the game of soccer. So when they do return, they can really help their grassroots programs. I mean, I think that's where it really begins, is to have a player with experiences played in high-level matches.
If that kid scores a hat trick on you, you won't be saying that. No, I'm kidding.
That is funny because Enda did play for one of our rivals, Post University. Usually, you know, whips us up, Philly U. But I think that's the neat part. At the end of the day, you know, it's a interesting rival that three of the coaches down there were from Florida, and they play each other in their college games and kind of beat up on each other in the games. At the end of the day, you know, you're all in the same boat. You know, you're trying to find that player, trying to help these young men and women have a better life, and just give them that opportunity that a lot of, you know, your D1 schools will overlook because they're not part of the, you know, elite club system that is the United States. And I'm, you know, usually I'm kind of against that because I was one of those junky gem rat kind of players. I was never good enough to play club soccer, dude. I was a joke.
Yeah, and then, you know, I talk about this all the time. The one thing that coaches, you know, game day is a different story, but out of game day, coaches want to learn from each other.
Yeah.
Coaches communicate. It's a network, and good coaches want to make themselves better no matter what. You know, if you're stuck on being the best coach, it's not going to happen. So
no, there's no such thing to me as the best coach, because I learned something from every single one of these coaches this week, and from their personality, their approach, and they're all well-grounded people that have great experience and great people management. I think that's a big thing about people that coach in college. There's still a lot of player management and still a lot of development to be done. When you look at like your Jose Mourinho, to me, he's not really a coach because he's not there to make the players better. He's taking the best of and trying to be the best technical manager of.
Right.
You know,
I think that's being that high profile is, you know,
he ain't teaching a kid how to trap the ball.
No, you're not teaching a kid. All right, so going back to Turks and Caicos, so you're going down, you're at an ID clinic, you're with a group of coaches. So set us up. Where are you at? What's it look like? What's the field look like? And, you know, you're getting ready to look at the kids.
Well, obviously we're on radio, and you're on my radar. So, right. But I will be posting some photos of the event. But it's a really nice setup. So they have a dormitory that sleeps about 21, and then they have the showers in the first floor, and in the bunk beds, and a little manager room on the second floor, and a little area set up, a little kitchen where we all had our meals. Big shout out to Paula, was our personal chef for the week. So she really took, dude, tons of fish, man. I mean, I felt like I was eating at a fine restaurant every single night. It makes, like, when I go to find whatever seafood here in the Philly area, dude, it makes us feel like, you know, whatever Captain, whatever, what's that, Gordon's, whatever, fish stick man. I mean, it's just amazing food, amazing hosts out there. So they have two main buildings. They have one building's got a locker room underneath it where the national team gets ready, and then on the second floor it's all their offices. So I had the pleasure to spend time in all of those facilities, and just the idea that when a team comes to visit, they have a place to stay for their camps and for road teams. So it's a great setup. And then they have, you know, now a place to host multiple coaches that can fly in from all over the United States, stay there, see their players. They have one full-size turf field, one full-size grass field with lights. They also have beach soccer there on the island, so they have a full field beach soccer. So I learned a little bit about beach soccer. Didn't get to play it, but did learn about it. You know, and Turks and Caicos is now getting ready to compete in some beach soccer championships coming up. So nice. It's a very great setup. And also next to the soccer pitch, the grass pitch, there's a whole sports complex, and they actually have a hockey league there. They have the Provo Hockey League.
There you go.
The PHL, and they jacked the old Flyers logo, the P. So I'll let them slide because it's all for good. So there's a lot of there's a lot of Canadians down there, and it's a well diverse crowd of people, which I didn't know until I really now started spending time getting to know a lot of the locals, a lot of the transplants, and just probably one of the nicest places I've been in my entire life.
So one thing you didn't mention, that it's a roller hockey, not an ice hockey.
Yeah,
people are, it's like, wow, there's an ice hockey league.
Yeah, that Zamboni is busy.
It's roller hockey.
So, but no, it's a great collection of people and great staff. They have a lot of volunteer staff that come and work with the kids. So every day something was going on these pitches, and that's the thing, is having open space for kids to play. Sometimes just to play, playing pickup. These kids need to have a surface and a field to just go out there and have fun and explore the game.
Right.
So got another clip we're going to queue up. He's going to play. So this will be one for you guys to listen in on for the technical director, Daz, Meehan, and me speaking.
Okay, I've just had a brief discussion with a few of the coaches, and they pointed out two potential boys who they like at the moment. They've been asking, the background, their age, and what I think about them technically as players and tactically as players. So, fingers crossed, all good so far. Well, if you ask me, I'm the technical director of the country, so I would take all of them. If I was running a university or a college, I would give them all a scholarship. I think they're all great players.
So that was Daz Meehan, just basically talking about a couple of players, and I definitely have my eye on a couple of different players. Two players that really stuck out, and maybe about 4 or 5 other players that I think have potential. And a couple of them are 16, 17 years old that really want to see what they're doing over the next couple of years, and I'm going to keep a very close eye. And if they can't get into Philadelphia University, I'm going to do my darndest to help them get into one of the community colleges here in Philadelphia, one of the junior colleges that we work kind of directly with. It becomes like the feeder system. So definitely really excited to see, what's going to come out of this. So, and we did some talking with some of the players, that they had some TV staff down there, and I want you to take a listen in on some of those interviews.
My name is Jeff Beljour. I'm the AFC Academy captain. Well, the course is really good. Well, we in the PPLE, we playing very hard. So we play football, let's say, almost every day, but we just trying with them college coaches, and we trying our best. Well, so far we doing great, but we gotta see the result we will get.
My name is Kadeen Delphine. I feel grateful, and there's a lot of us that need this opportunity to get to see the world and go other places, more experience in soccer. So far, the coaches are great. They're fun to be around. They teach us a lot of skills and how to open our body and stuff. So it's good so far. Well, to get a scholarship, I hope to further my career in soccer and learn more stuff about it, and hopefully become a professional player one.
So yeah, that was a couple of players for Turks and Caicos, and I think that the neat part about these are some very vocal, very well-spoken players, and just like sponges, just really listen to us. And that sometimes when you and I coach club kids, you can't correct them or tell them how to do something. Not a single kid said, "No, coach, I won't do that." I got a chance to work with all their national team goalkeepers, and no matter what I said and did to adjust them, they just took it in and listened. And I think that's the best thing as a coach, because I've coached some college kids before, and like, "No, coach, I'm not doing that." You sometimes get that little resistance. They give you a little attitude sometimes, or they don't want to keep pushing. These kids, and all the workouts I did, kept pushing themselves, and we're open to learning a lot of the proper techniques of doing things.
That's right.
So
properly learning. Actually, the learn to learn is very important in soccer, in the fundamental, developing the tactical, the merge of the technical and tactical. You have to be able to learn and absorb and to actually embrace the lesson. If not, then, it's going to take time to build back up, the explanations. But when you're rolling, when you got a kid who wants to learn and you got the attention, then it makes it much easier. It's a coach's dream.
Yeah, it was just a wonderful experience, because I think their eyes lighten up and seeing all these players and coaches and people that came in that actually care and trying to help better their game. And one of the things that really got me thinking was, as coaches talking, that maybe 1 or 2 of these players do get off island and get a degree, but a lot of those players that played this weekend and busted their chops all weekend in the games, we had them play games back-to-back nights on Friday and Saturday. They played full games, and a lot of players cramping up, and I mean, it's the weather's really hot there. So just them putting it on a line, I really, tip my caps to them, because they're opening up the door for the next generation. Sometimes all it takes is that one player to get on, and every single one of those players push that one player to get them to some school. Then that's all it takes, is you get one of these players getting on one of these junior colleges or a 4-year university and makes an impact. Coaches are going to start asking, "Hey, where'd you get that guy?"
That's right.
And it's like, dude, you got to go down there. And then they start believing. That's all it takes is 1 or 2 guys, because for years ago, people didn't know where these islands were, and there's still a lot of Americans that don't understand the basic geography of the Caribbean, and some of the people ask me where Turks and Caicos was. I mean, I've known about it for a while, and I always check off when I go into customs, how'd you hear about Turks and Caicos? And I put other, and then usually customs asks me, what do you mean other? I'm like, dude, history class, geography, man. I was a geography B nerd, man. So I knew about like almost every country of the world at one time. I could name every country and every capital. So it's just my seeking of knowledge that there's a place out there, and there's individual athletes that are just have raw talent. And I think that's the one thing about Caribbean players. They have, I mean, just some God-given athletic ability, and it's just a matter of, sculpting that ability and getting them to live game action and getting them to make quick decisions and learning on the fly. So the potential of athlete, you're darn right, where sometimes when you go to some of these, I guess they call it old boy rich clubs in the Philadelphia area, they throw money at the kids to make them better, pay, trainer. But I look at some of those Turks and Caicos boys and say, that kid doesn't need a trainer. That kid's fast already. He doesn't need to learn how to run faster. Right. Just give him a little bit of understanding of the soccer game and bang. And that's why you see Jamaica beating the U.S. And to me, that's not a shocker because they have more athletic players, bigger, stronger, faster.
Man, I can't wait to see the mailbag tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm going to set off an international crisis. But got some good stuff to do in the second half of the show. We're hitting about the halfway mark. Got some good stuff. We got some tunes coming up. Another interview that I had with Daz Meehan. Just sit back and relax and enjoy some great stuff coming up.
I'm from the Turks and Caicos, and I like my girls. I'm from the Turks and Caicos. I tell her I come from one island. I flew her down straight to the Turks and Caicos. She tell me she never been down. I took her around. She tell me it's her first time in such a small town. Showed her my island, I showed her my people. My people had told her that I brought the sound. I'm from the Turks and Caicos. I like my girls. I'm from the Turks and Caicos. Lady Dance Low, we brings the wave, All of my people, we turn up and we celebrate. Shout out my people who knew me from way back when, and look at me and still be amazed. I used to call up so much girls just so they could see how much I ate. Used to call up moms too much. She used to tell me that I got too much on my plate. Whoa, still come on a Saturday. I used to pray for a better day. Back when I used to feel like Tupac. Rest in peace to my enemies. They used to treat me like the enemy, always trying to get ahead of me. But despite the feeling, is often a thing when you try to offset our energy. I'm from the Turks and Caicos, and I like my girls. I'm from the Turks and Caicos. I tell her I come from one island. I flew her down straight to the Turks and Caicos. She tell me she never been down. I took her around. She tell me it's her first time in such a small town. Showed her my island, I showed her my people. My people had told her that I brought the sound. I'm from the Turks and Caicos. I like my girls. I'm from the Turks and Caicos.
This is Charlie Flowe, World Sports Show here with Daz Meehan, Turks and Caicos Islands Football Association. First of all, thank you for hosting us, and this is an amazing event. You've got a college ID clinic on right behind us. How did this all come about? When did you guys come up with the idea for this?
Well, I took over as technical director last year. I've been involved for 12 months. When we first got an email, every head coach in America, I don't know how many coaches that was.
Only a couple of us.
Yeah, just a few hundred, yeah. And I got a few responses. I got a few hundred responses straight away. I just wanted to invite as many coaches as possible. And then I went to the next table, which is the budget side of it, and see how many coaches I could bring out. So, we managed to really down to 6 coaches, all, experienced coaches at university or college in America. And this is going to be the start of, hopefully, every year this is going to be happening for us, just to get us on the radar.
And I think the neat part guys have an amazing facility. We're sitting here on your AstroTurf synthetic field, and just a few stones throw over, there's a full-size grass field, and then behind you there, if you can see the camera, there's a beach soccer field. Just how much does this facility help your association?
Well, it's helped massively. Like I say, this was done with the gold project by FIFA's help around about 2010. And just to have this facility, the grass pitch and the beach soccer pitch, like I say, in 2 years' time, we'll have beach soccer national teams competing in the World Cup qualifier. Without that beach soccer pitch, I don't think that would have been possible to do the training and get the guys physically ready and technically ready for that. This pitch, is amazing. When you go around to, like I'm from the UK, you go around to any good academies, and they all have this 4G kind of pitch. And to have this, you can train in all conditions.
What's one of the biggest hurdles you have here for these young ladies and young boys that are trying to get off and trying to get into these colleges and universities?
The biggest hurdle, in general, is just competition. We've got 4 teams going away next week in the Western Cup. It's just, we'd like to bring in more teams here. So if any teams are out there and they want to come to Turks and Caicos, we have a 21-man dorm or 21-woman dorm. They're more than welcome to get in touch with me. I think you'll be putting all my email addresses in the TCFA addresses at the bottom. We'd welcome many teams, girls, boys, from the ages of 9 right up to over 18. So just competition as much as possible. We're only a small island. We've got over 35,000 people who live on this island, and we only have a small group of members who play football on this island, so more competition than that.
That really pitching thing that you guys have going for you is this, obviously this weather where it's done, and people can't back it out and see the temperature, but we're looking at about 85 degrees Fahrenheit right now. But you guys really almost have a 12-month calendar of availability for fields and access that, here in Philadelphia, where I'm from, it's snowing. So, that really is a huge thing that you guys have. You have this ability to use these outside facilities year-round.
Yeah, we have 365 days a year, so the show. And again, you're from Philadelphia, I'm from the UK. When I used to coach in the UK, did a lot of sessions that got cancelled or just wasn't realistic enough because, just too much rain or it was like -5, But here, train all year round. We just need more competition. So guys, please get in touch. Come on here.
I can personally say, I've been here for about 3 days. I was here for a week in December of 2017. An amazing place, beautiful island. People can come with their family, check out some football. So I want to thank you again for having us and having this college ID, and hopefully something that grows that will be an annual thing where people are knocking on your door.
Yeah, that's the reason why I was starting it, just to get Turks and Caicos football players, get our boys just on some of the radars of the universities and the colleges. We've kind of selected the 6 specialist head coaches from around the region. So once they go back, I think they're going to be spreading the word about the talent we have on the Turks and Caicos Island.
Everyone, thank you. Check out Turks and Caicos Football Association. Turks and Caicos, Islands Football Association. I'll be putting all this stuff at the end of the broadcast and for you guys to check out and keep them on tabs because we'll be having a lot more.
And welcome back to the World Sports Show. Charlie Flowe, John DiCriscio, World Sports Show broadcasting on WPPM Philadelphia. If you're on the internet, we are phillycam.org/radio/listen. If you're driving in your vehicle right now, joining us on 106.5 FM. Good old drive time in Philadelphia.
Thank you, everybody out there. Just getting back to the positive feedback we've been getting recently. A lot of people in the area in Philadelphia, as well as, I want to see if any TC people have been checking us out tonight. We can check our.
Hey, come on up to Philadelphia. I wouldn't invite you now because a little bit under 70, the Islanders get very cold. But hit John and I up in June and July, you'll feel at home here, man.
It's tough to trade in 70 degree for, I guess I'm going to say 26 and windy right now or whatever it is out there, maybe around 30.
Was pretty interesting because I went for a nice little swim after lunch on Saturday, and it was a very windy day, so a lot of the locals wouldn't get into the water. It was too cold, and they had like hoodies on. It's funny to me. February 77, you darn right I'm getting in the water.
Absolutely. Not getting out.
It ain't no polar bear plunge. But also want to name off, I'm going to do my best not to forget everybody because there were some amazing people. They did some amazing things that helped me get a massive amount of boots, socks, shin guards, gloves. Had so much stuff that the customs wouldn't even let me bring into the country. So they had to go, me and Daz had to go back a day later to get it. So big shout out to you, John DiCriscio. You donated some boots. Might be some of the big boots that those kids can use as flotation devices now.
That's right.
We had some of the size 11s and 12s you donated. So
put a couple goals on them.
Yeah, so big shout out to John. He also, while I was gone, covered one of my keeper sessions, and very, very nice to help me out with one of my sessions that I missed this past Friday, but he helped contribute some of the gear that the kids got. Courtney Nemec, professional football for the North Carolina Courage, she donated some boots, and thought the really cool thing is one of the kids took her boots and played, and I said, hey, those boots came from a professional footballer, and those played in an NWSL final. So it's pretty darn neat. So big thanks to Courtney Nemec. John McBride at the Bridesburg Recreation Center set up a drop box in Bridesburg, Philadelphia. Got a lot of boots, socks, tons of unopened socks. So huge shout out to him. Big shout out to my buddy Andrew, that is the director at Chester City United. Donated a majority of the boots. I'd say a good 75 of the 90 boots came from his club directly. And we're talking coming from Chester, and it really hit home to me because Chester is one of the poorest cities in the United States, but yet that club still got enough boots to get to these children in Chester. So that, to me, really inspired me to say, you know what, one of the poorest cities in America was able to donate a good 75 boots. So really, I'm going to put some pressure on some of these clubs that have money that, hey, if they can do that, why can't you? So I'm trying to go through. I don't want to miss anybody out there. West Coast goalkeeper donated 7 pairs of new gloves. So you guys have the good feeling of their national team keepers got to wear your gloves, and these are some of the happiest kids. It was basically Christmas Day to them, giving them new gloves. They put them on, wore them, and they were basically asking me, do I get to keep these? I'm like, no, dude, they're yours. These are yours. And it just to see these kids' eyes light up that they got new gloves, and some of their gloves had a lot of holes in them. I mean, just that level that if you want to be competitive, they got to have the right equipment. So now, hopefully West Coast and I can come up with some type of deal to get these players gloves on a regular. So, but, just thank you to everyone that made it possible. Junior Lone Star, they contacted me. My buddy Paul at Junior Lone Star, he picked up the tab for having the bags shipped down. They were not very cheap getting on the airline. They barely got on the airplane, but he financially made sure that happened. And, just a lot of people looking out for me. One of my good buddies, Stefan, for all my hard work, he had some connection with U.S. Air. He made sure I got upgraded to first class. Not that I wanted it, but I'm not going to say no to it. So he helped me. He helped me on my flight, information. Trying to think of some other people out there. I'm drawing blank. I know I had a couple other buddies out there that made sure, to contact U.S. Air to make sure these items don't get lost. A couple buddies of mine. I don't know why I'm drawing blank. Some Sons of Ben's with the Philadelphia Union. Some of those guys made sure American Airlines did not lose those bags. That's right. It was just a massive team effort that kind of gets me choked up. So that all the people that contributed on so many different levels to make sure these young boys and girls have decent boots to wear. So, but yeah, big shout out to everyone out there. I know that our mailbag is bursting, so we picked out a few questions. Going to read them off, and me and John will go back and forth and try to help them the best. So one of the questions I thought was really appropriate was from Andy in New York. He said, how can I help contribute to Turks and Caicos Islands players? So I think that, that John and I have talked about trying to take another trip down there. I know that I'm going to meet with our show lawyer in the next couple of days of finding ways to do some nonprofit work and how to collect this gear the right way and get it down to these players. And just we're really going to, put a project in together, and we'll keep everybody on the show. We'll see it on our Facebook, on our Twitter. You'll see some stuff that we'll send out, maybe some emails to you guys of another, collection of gear and get it down to the players. So we'll keep you guys posted on that. So thank you for the question, Andy. We'll keep you guys posted. Second question of the night is from Juan in South Philly. Does playing futsal hurt your touch versus playing with a size 5 ball?
Do you want me to answer?
Sure, I can answer it as well. I've got maybe you'll read my mind, maybe you won't.
Well, right off the cuff, what came to my mind, since I like when you throw me some questions that I haven't really looked over, so that's good. We try and do that to each other to get some fresh.
We alternate. Some nights I'll let him check the bag, some nights I check the bag.
So going back a couple weeks ago, I'm going to say when Coach James Galanis was on, and we did actually talk to him about, touch, and he prefers to play with a size 5 indoor, regardless, to get the touch and weight of the ball, muscle memory. So basically, it's hard for me to argue against them. I mean, I think that, personally, when I play futsal, then I go outside. I think my control is better, but that might just be personally. But I think that we need to hire a show sports science guy to answer these questions.
Sure, put him on payroll.
Put him on payroll. How about an intern, sports science intern?
Dude, that's pretty powerful.
Yeah, then we can do the, get the slow-mo cameras and start taking free kicks.
No,
in the studio.
It can be argued both ways because, believe it or not, I hadn't played until yesterday. We played a little game. I'd only been playing futsal, so I think it kind of changed my touch a lot because I was used to that futsal trap. So it's a different type of absorbing of the ball. So it can be good, it can be bad, but if it's a off season to keep fitness, I think you still, as a player, still need to have a lot of touches with a size 5.
I mean, here's I think my case is, where's futsal from, and who are probably the best touch players in the world?
Yeah, exactly.
So
there you go. Look at Brazil.
There you go.
so
if you want to, there's my argument. Look at Brazil.
All right. Third question comes in from Julie in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Your take on NWSL players heading to Europe?
My take.
Your take, my take, our take.
I mean, it's tough. I know that each player we spoke to all the time does have a passion for American soccer. They do want to keep the league alive, but, and going and growing. But, remember, it's a business. This is a business. And, players are business people. I mean, you have to be. I mean, I know it's a love and a passion and something that they grow to do, but they're business people. They want to do what's best for them. And I can't knock somebody who wants to better their career.
No.
I understand. I know it hurts personally to fans, of NWSL and U.S. soccer. But, hey, in the long run, they got one shot at it.
Yep.
That's it.
I think that I can look at something, too, that, it's U.S. soccer's had opportunities. They're starting to get a women's league that is stable. But I still think there's the end of the players, like the stories you and I get of players practicing being canceled. And a lot of these players, if they're not an allocated player, really can't live off just their player salary. A lot of them have to do private training on the side. And you and I have hired NWSL players and paid them very well. And there's been times where they've had to cancel our sessions because their session with their professional team got moved or shifted because some conflicting events on fields. Would you ever hear that? Like we talked about Carly Lloyd earlier in the show, he's got a contract offer from Man City. You think that their practice is going to get bumped, that they were told, you got a 10 o'clock session, and then 9:30 they're told, no, your 10 o'clock's now at 2 o'clock. Well, I can't do the 2 because I'm signed up to do a private session because I need to make $100 today.
Right.
So I think that things like that people aren't hearing those stories of the frustrations of your players that are non-allocated. Even some of the allocated players still do training on the side, and they still have employment. They coach teams or they volunteer. That there's been so many stories, and we know it firsthand, of just not having regular facilities and travel situations where the food or the hotels were just atrocious. I mean, you can't treat any athlete, especially female athletes, like this and expect to maintain a league. And you see a club like Manchester City, your Ajax, and Lyon and Chelsea signing these players, and they're actually going to be treated like employees and get what they need to better their game and, maintain a high level of soccer.
I mean, what not a great time for clubs, like professional clubs around Europe and around the world, like, hey, we can get these athletes now. Let's get them.
Yeah, and I think that's what they're starting to see.
I mean, you got a possibility of getting the best player in the world. I mean, why not take a stab? Throw an offer. Why not take, hey, you got maybe 5 of the top 10 players in the world. Hey, let's throw contracts. Let's see what we get. Let's go fishing.
And I think this is one of those things where these clubs can absorb whatever financial situation it takes to make it work. Chelsea's not going anywhere. Lyon's not going anywhere. Manchester City's not going anywhere. So they can weather the storm and get to these, changes where, we see the teams in the NWSL that are kind of afloat and doing okay are the ones that are owned by NWSL or owned by MLS teams. But even that, we're looking at the Dash. They're an MLS team. They're probably going to lose Carly Lloyd. Michelle Betos is leaving Thorns, and that's a team that's associated with MLS teams. So it's just a matter of you got to play the salaries, take care of the players, and treat them like true employees.
I mean, we can go in next time about it seems like there's a major disconnect between the players, the union, the players' union, and the owners.
Yeah.
Or owners / league. So we'll hit more on that, but
yeah. Definitely a little more we'll talk about a little later on the show. We have a few more minutes. We'll talk about some more U.S. soccer women's stuff with the She Believes Cup. Another question from the mailbag. Your thoughts on playing at a 4-year school versus playing at a junior college? Victor from Miami.
Victor from Miami.
It's a good question, Victor.
Let's start it out with you. I think you're more on point with the 2-year versus 4-year.
Yeah, definitely had some time this past weekend to spend time with a couple 2-year college players, 4-year college players, and I think that it comes down to a personal decision. Like if you have the grades and ability to go to a 4-year school, but you really got to make sure that coach is going to play you, because I've met a lot of coaches that sell kids on baloney and tell them, you come here, you're going to play, and then they just ride the bench. So yeah, I don't sugarcoat it with the players. I tell them, listen, you come to university, you might be 3rd, 4th man in depth chart, but if that's what you're willing to take and you really want to go to this university, like I said, my school, I've said several times, I work primarily with the goalkeepers. We have 5 goalkeepers. We know who our 1 and 2 are, but all 5 show up and know their role, and they buy into it. Where I've been on the other side of some JUCOs where we've had 4 goalkeepers and 3 and 4 have attitude the whole time and just like kind of half-ass it sometimes in practice because they don't really care and buy into the program. So it depends on what your end goal is. If you really want that degree at that university, go for it. Or you want to try the JUCO route, to better your game. And believe it or not, I hate the stereotype behind JUCO. There's a lot of JUCO schools out there that could whip some Division I schools.
Oh.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry. Some of these guys that I was with this past weekend, I'm sure, because I've been to a lot of Division I games here in the Philadelphia area, I would love if I won the Powerball, fly these boys up with their team. And I'd like when the teams in lower divisions take higher division teams to the table and beat them. Like I said, this past preseason, we played D1 LaSalle, well, 1-1 in a preseason game, but we had a lead on them 90% of the game, because this thing is they couldn't understand how a D2 school could beat them. And to me, the ball's round, man, at the end of the day. 90 minutes, the ball's round.
There you go. Write that down. The ball rounds at the end of the day.
That's my tactic when I go into my pregame speech. Makes it easy.
What shape is this? It's round.
Fair. So thank you, Victor. A lot of it is chase your dreams, follow what you got to do, and try to find a coach you're going to have a good relationship, and even the style of play, what fits your game. I think that we have so many different programs in the United States that can cater towards your needs.
Okay. And if you don't get it, cheat. No, I'm kidding.
Dude, jerk.
I know.
NCAA is going to revoke all my going to call me up.
Too.
Thanks, dude. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
FCC, NCAA. So, no, thank you for everybody writing in the mailbag. Some great questions. Like I said, I only read all 4 of the questions, but I think the neat part, we like to tell everybody, just keep writing them because it does give us fuel and energy and inspiration to draft up the show every night or every day before. So, but turn the page a little bit. We're going to go back to women's soccer. The She Believes Cup. Jill Ellis announced her 25-player roster. 23 were part of the camp in January. The only 2 players that weren't in the camp were Mallory Pugh and Megan Klingenberg, and they had some little nicks and injuries. But we're going to go through the roster right now. The 3.
A Nixon injury?
Nick and an injury. I don't know, Nixon injury? Yeah, the old Nixon, Frost and Nixon injury. The old Watergate injury. Didn't know I was going to go with that. So the 25-player roster for the U.S. is She Believes Cup Tour that starts March 1st in Chester, Pennsylvania. Goalkeepers will be Jane Campbell from the Houston Dash, Ashlyn Harris from Orlando Pride, Alyssa Nair from Chicago Red Stars.
Tough decision.
You can't. I'm just hoping they do a little rotation system since it's going to be about three different games, maybe a 45, maybe, but most likely, probably Joe Ellis will probably get each one of them a start in 90 minutes. And the competition's amazing. You got France and England and Germany. Those are the big power teams. So it's not like they're going to play a small nation and not going to get any reps and goals. So whatever order they're doing in it, fine by me. Defenders: Julie Johnson from Chicago Red Stars, Megan Klingberg from Portland Thorns, Allie Krieger from Orlando Pride, Kelly O'Hara from Sky Blue, Becky Sauerbrunn from Kansas City, Casey Short, Chicago Red Stars, Emily Sonnet from Portland Thorns. And that's your back line. That's a pretty good back line there. You could have 3, 4 in the back, any combination of those. But I think that one of the ones I really want to keep seeing is Julie Johnson. I think that's one of the best center backs in the world.
Same with, Agree.
Yeah.
I was just looking at the same thing, looking at the sheet.
Becky Sauerbrunn, Megan Kleinberg, Ali Krieger. You can't go wrong with that. I think it'll be good to give players like Casey Short, Emily Saunders, some of those younger players. I think that they'll be the next generation that could be in that backfield for years to come. So really want to see what those players will do going against some of the best teams in the world. Look at the midfield, Morgan Bryan from Houston Dash, Tobin Heath, Portland Thorns, Lindsey Horan, Portland Thorns, Sarah Killian, Sky Blue, Rose Lavelle, Boston Breakers, Carly Lloyd. Well, it says Houston Dash, but it could be changing in the next couple of days. Allie Long, Portland Thorns, Samantha Muez, North Carolina Courage, Brianna Pinto from CASL. So, a very, very stacked midfield. Some players with not a lot of international experience. So I like that some of the young players like Killian's going to be in there as a player that's been doing great with the U23s lately. So, looking up top, Crystal Dunn from Chelsea, Alex Morgan from Lyon, Kristen Press, Chicago Red Stars, Mallory Pugh, UCLA, Amy Rodriguez, FC Kansas City, and Lynn Williams from NC Courage. So, definitely a tough decision for Jill Ellis. It's a combination of, do you want to do veterans / young players? I think that's the best way. I think you don't just put all the young players out there and you don't just put all the veterans. I think it's going to be a lot of mixed players per game. So I think every single one of these players will touch the pitch.
Can't wait to go and watch live and get a report, and just to see where we're going to move from there.
I think we'll be down there hanging out.
I'm going to actually try and scout or, do a little background on the younger
You're doing
players.
it right now, turning through the pages, getting
That's
your
right.
So, but no, thank you for everybody listening to the World Sports Show. We still got a few more minutes, so we've got some really, really good players coming up. Got a couple NWSL players that we're still working out on all the details with some of their agents and their teams, getting them in here in studio. We're getting time where, I guess maybe the second weekend in March after this She Believes Cup ends, a lot of the NWSL teams will be holding open tryouts, be holding camps. So we'll keep you posted on all the details. I know that North Carolina Courage, announced, I don't know if they've officially announced it, but Paul Riley told us that, they've got some tryouts on March 11th and 12th. You want to get down to North Carolina and Cary, North Carolina, and try out for the Courage. I know Sky Blue's got a midweek tryout in maybe the second week of March. So a lot of these teams are starting to announce their open tryouts. So if you're one of those players that didn't get drafted, go out there and try out. We had one of the undrafted players in our studio just a couple weeks ago, Courtney Nemec, and she has a championship medal from NWSL's Western New York's Flash. It's weird to say because they moved to North Carolina, but there's a lot of players that are stars in the NWSL that didn't get drafted, that made themselves get a roster spot.
With just a couple minutes left in the show,
alrighty.
I want to touch back on a feature that got back by popular demand.
Now it's time for the weekend soccer butt whoopings from around the world.
Time for your weekend update on some of the biggest butt whoopings in international soccer. Pow.
Spankaroo.
So we got a couple notable games here for you. Just picked out at random, going back over the weekend. Specifically picked out at random, I must say. Heading over the pond to the UK, specifically England, League 2. Crewe Alexandria 5-0. 5-0. A nice butt whooping over Grimsby Town.
It's a good butt whooping. Good old 5-0.
And just to cut it short, we only got one more minute left in the absolute butt whooping of the week. Let's go to Finland Cup. And, I'll give people, if they can pronounce Finnish teams correctly, because they abbreviate them all.
Yeah.
So it's
got to be a finisher with the Finnish teams.
Finisher of the Finnish teams. I'm going to give it my go. Rovaniemi Palloseura 9-0. 9-0 in a cup game. So a Premier Division team versus second
their
division
B squad,
team.
Dude.
Right. Oulum Palloseura. So it's Ropes versus Opes.
Ropes and Opes.
And Opes got the butt whooping.
Yep, they the dopes. So thank you for tuning into the World Sports Show. I'm Charlie Flowe. He's John DiCriscio. Every Monday night, 9 o'clock, WPPM LP Philadelphia. You're listening on the internet. We are at phillycam.org radio/listen. See you next week, everybody.